Gaston Berger University, majoring in linguistics in my second year master. And I'm majoring especially in educational psycholinguistics. So today I'm very honored and glad to be given the privilege to host this debate competition, the Think and Talk one. And this is actually great because this year this competition is a bit special because it is 100% digital. And this is owing to this pandemic thrown on our way. This pandemic really brought abrupt changes in our daily life, and especially when it comes to the education of these young people. And it was hard, but production managers decided to take up a challenge and make it this year a 100% digital competition. And the 2021 third edition is called Digital Youth Challenge, and it gathers in its core the Think and Talk competition, which we are going to do right now, right away, and another French debate competition that is done by university students that is also a 100% digital. But for the final, we decided to do it, not to do it virtually. There is the jury, the members of the jury are online, so it is half 50% digital and 50% physically. We are physically present.
Dear members of the jury, dear debaters, dear audience, dear guests, dear radio production team. My name is THINKANTALK. I'm a student at Gaston Berger University and the lead program of Digital Youth Challenge 2021. Digital Youth Challenge is a program dedicated to youth so as to enable them express their opinions on the issues of Africa. Digital Youth Challenge is composed of two debate contests, which is THINKANTALK, which are THINKANTALK, an English debate contest meant for high school students, and a French debate contest meant for students at the university. So, the theme of this year is Africa and development as we know. So through this program, we have noticed that African youth, they are aware of Africa's businesses, but are strong enough to get Africa rid of poverty. This program has shown that the African youth, many in Senegal, they get the volunteer to get Africa developed. I can end this speech because I will not make it long without thanking dear participants from ITRA, from Maliksi, and from other high schools, dear members of the juries of THINKANTALK and Arnold, dear parents for raising their children like that, my team manager production for their hard work to make Digital Youth Challenge 2021 succeed. Yes, to tell you something, keep on this way. You guys are brilliant. I believe in you. And I believe that if we make our words into actions, we can get Africa developed. If we believe in ourselves and if we believe in the resources of Africa. Just let us believe in ourselves. And together, I think we can make Africa develop. So thank you all for coming. I will just let you guys, I know you guys are trying to start the debate, and thank you. I'm really happy.
Thank you very much. It was the speech of the lead program, Mr. Marcise, and it was great. Thank you very much. And you are well dressed, by the way. So, just a precision. On a aussi la compétition aussi va se dérouler en français. Donc nous on va se charger de la présentation en anglais et après on aura Monsieur Carl Kenye, if I'm not mistaken, si je ne me trompe pas. Donc il va faire la présentation en français.
Here in Africa, we used to see all those head of states, our presidents, they are doing whatever they can with power, thinking that they're, how can I say, some kind of emperors. But it's not the case. Today we are here, so I have to show you that democracy is a failed enterprise in Africa. Today, through world arguments, proved examples. Today we are going to show you here in Africa we have a democracy. We are talking about theoretically, democracy. But what is democracy? What does democracy focus on? Today we are going to show you here. Because it's not the case. What we expect for, what we expect from our government, what we expect from all the states, it doesn't what we here now. Ladies and gentlemen, dear brothers and sisters, today is going to be a mission to defend that. It's going to be a pleasure to defend it, yes. And I think today we'll do our best for us to give a good debate because that's what we're here today. Thank you for your listening.
And democracy has 3 kinds. Well, actually more than 3 kinds, but we're going to talk about it in a broad aspect because we're talking about democracy in Africa. The democracy in Africa comes in 3 general and broad forms. Participatory democracy, which is actually something that we have been practicing traditionally in the past. Pluralist democracy and inclusive democracy. And these are all under the guise of democracy. Democracy is not just the role of the people, but it comes in a very complex manner, which is why we're here to talk about how it is not failed yet. Thank you.
Democracy and democracy. Thank you. It's something, it's really passionate because we're talking about democracy at the same time we're defending democratization. And to your talk, democratization is the consequence of democracy. Is that it? Okay. And what is most important here is, they said that democracy, we can talk about democracy things later because it is not yet achieved. But when will it get achieved? Let's talk about what is democracy and why democracy is failing in the past. Let's talk about that because it is very important to underline some kind of points because today we will start by talking about what is freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, which is really crucial for Africa's development and it is really important for democracy. Why is it important? If it wasn't important, it want to be something, a legislation from the African Human Rights and Declaration. Since 1945, we were talking about democracy. And those kind of legislations have been happening in 11 countries. Egypt, Mozambique, Ghana, Senegal, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, etc. What are the consequences of it? Only bad, no kind of results, only bad results. Because if you talk about it, take the example of Egypt. 47 representatives of some kind of organization have been killed and have been severely assaulted. Why? Because they were witnessing some kind of hard living conditions and also they were dancing what is sexual harassment. I'm telling you guys, isn't it important to denounce what is sexual harassment? It's really important because women, they are part of society and they are betrayed. And if we are not talking about what is democracy there, what will be democracy if you have the right to underline this kind of things are important. Let's take the example of Burkina Faso. The president here has contacted the rapper which is Mumbembo in 2008 to 2011 in prison. Just for the simple reason, he was denouncing the hard living conditions of people. The poor people, they have nothing to be, they have the right to be. It was thirsty and they were complicating for their guys. And it is something important to underline, to emphasize, to emphasize, to end. Why do you think that they are motivated? They have the right to do. Thank you.
We have heard a very telling intervention. I would like to dismantle that intervention. We're talking about democracy. We should not stray from the essence of democracy. We should talk about the essence of democracy. And the essence of democracy is rule by the people. As our fellow debater has said, it is not even being practiced. So what are we practicing? How can you say something has failed if you're not even practicing it? We are talking about, I've heard about freedom of expression. Freedom of expression, as I refute again, it is a part of democracy, but it is not something that determines democracy. Things such as elections, freedom of expression do not determine democracy, because I would like to point out there are countries that are having elections. Take, for example, the United States of America, which is a hybrid of democracy and republic, and the people are said to be in a democracy. However, if you are to vote and have the popular vote as somebody who's running for an election, it does not necessarily mean that you're going to be chosen by the people to actually rule and be the president. That is what we're trying to say here. Democracy is not essentially just freedom of expression, just election, just the way your ability to come and talk about something. This is democratization. We would like to point out that we're not trying to stray from this. Democracy are the values that must be achieved. They are not achieved yet, which is why we're trying to achieve them. But first we have to understand that there is a very distinct difference between democracy and democratization, and we should not link and mix up the two concepts together. So I believe that democracy has not failed because we're not practicing it. We're practicing confusion. So please understand that democracy will not have failed if it has not even started in the first place. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, to the question, is democracy failed and declined in Africa? The answer is yes. The world is now looking for answers, but the answers are not hard to find if you can sincerely. The truth is that here in Africa, there is nowhere a place where democracy is truly applied. How can we talk about democracy without separation of powers? Here in Africa, there is the supremacy or the predominance of the executive power above the legislative and the judicial one. This means that it is the president of the republic who controls all the powers. He directly controls all the powers. And we all know that for a democratic country, institutions and powers should be independent from one another. But what we've seen in Africa is all the president having overpowering majority. Because there are some representatives of the parliament who are directly nominated and chosen by the president. And instead of representing the population, they are here just to obey the president. They are here just to satisfy the president's needs, whatever. No matter the law the president asks them to vote, they will accept to vote it without thinking about the interests of their population. Because it is something which is not normal. Because we all know that in a democratic country, institutions should be stronger than men, but not the contrary. But what we've seen here in Africa is the fact that all the presidents, if they are elected, the first thing they do is to modify the constitution as if it was something which belongs to them. In a democratic country, we should use the strength of argument, but not the argument of strength. And also, here in Africa, we need democracy. It is undeniable that in a democratic country, people do not have the right. People do not have the right to. I'm sorry. It is undeniable that concerning the judicial powers, the justice minister is directly nominated by the president of the republic. And instead of doing what he was supposed to do, he is here just receiving directly orders and institutions directly from the president. That's not the reason why he was elected. He was elected to make rule justice, but not to stay here, just satisfying the president's desire. And that feeling creates injustice, inequality, and that creates violence. That's why people are getting out on the streets. That's why we are assisting to some violent demonstration by the people, because it is a feeling of anger, and it generally leads them to commit some military costs. Here in Africa, it is the continent where we notice all kinds of military costs. According to an investigation made by the non-governmental organization Freedom House in 2019, since 1960, African countries have committed more than 127 military costs. It only exists in Africa, nowhere else. Thank you.
Okay, so assalamu alaikum everyone. So I was supposed to give the definition of this debate topic. So we'll go back to democracy and its definition. So first of all, democracy itself means the rule by the people. A democracy is a system where people can change their rulers in a peaceful manner, and the government is given the right to rule because the people say so. It is a form of government in which the common people hold political power and can rule either directly or through elected representatives. So as my teammate would say, especially Aisha Zakari, there's a difference between democracy and democratization. So democratization is the process through which a political regime becomes democratic. And I would like to come back on a point. So as the first speaker was saying, he defined democracy as the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. So if that is democracy, then how can practicing that lead to failure? The question is not whether democracy has failed in Africa. The question is, do we practice it? So as Aisha Zakari was saying, how can we lead democracy in Africa to a failure while we're not even practicing it? So we're not practicing democracy in Africa, we're practicing confusion. Thank you.
If you talk about democracy, we talk about freedom. We have to be free in our choice. We have to be free in our choice. So we have to know that the list is so far from being injustice. Secondly, a long practice has shown that democracy is a small
They say that democracy is something that will bring peace to African countries, and it is not being practiced by our leaders. Well, when our leaders are being trained in the West and coming back to rule us, and in fact are their lapdogs, we will sit down and let them have the power, elect them, but I wouldn't say elect them because it's unfairly. Mostly African countries have unfairly elected presidents sitting in power. And we beg for this so-called freedom, democracy that we want. We cannot have it. The fact in Mauritius and Botswana, just two African countries, over there, democracy is being fully implied by the government. And the people themselves are saying that they are happy with their government. I know, it's meaning two countries. We can't just say 54 countries, just two can talk for them. No, we can't. But at least it's happening. It's progress. When we were told that we have freedom, we did not have the word democracy given to us in our languages. Was it given to us in Wolof? No, it wasn't. Was it given to us in Hausa? No, it wasn't. Was it given to us in any other African language? No, it wasn't. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury and of the spectators, democracy can't be achieved till we are under the hands of the white people, and we do not have this so-called democracy because it's not something that we want. It's not something that we have. It's not something that we define by ourselves. It's something that is given to us. And we just say, okay, we see how the West is going, so we want to go with the West. In China, are you going to tell me that there's a democracy over there? No, there isn't. The people themselves say that there's no democracy, but they are fine with it due to the development of their country. As we can say now, mostly everything that we have comes from China, a non-democratic country, which probably the US owes money. We cannot sit down and say that we want a democracy while we have republics in our countries, in this continent ourselves. America itself is a republic. As we say in America, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic of which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Is there liberty and justice for all? No, there isn't. Thank you.
Thinking about the failure of democracy in Africa implies underlining the lack of transparency by taking a look on the way our leaders are elected, the way our leaders are chosen. For a democratic country, leaders should be clearly and transparently chosen through periodically hold clear and transparent elections. But still now, one thing remains clear. Here in Africa, there is no way a country where there is something which doesn't look like transparency. For that point, let's turn around the easiest definition of democracy. The government of people, for people, by people. And for that, it's up to people to choose the candidate they want. But it is impossible. Why? Because our leaders are doing whatever they want. They are postponing elections. They are refusing to hold elections. There is also the persecution of opposition. The opposition's most valuable candidates are eliminated. They are forced to exile, or they are jailed by the ruling president. It is something unacceptable, ladies and gentlemen. In a competition, how can a contestant say that it's up to him to choose his own opponents? In a competition, how can the president say that it's up to him to choose the candidate with whom he is going to compete with? It only exists in Africa, nowhere else. And there is also another fact, which is the most shameful. It is the fact that African leaders are They are hungry of power. And once they get the power, they are ready to do whatever they want for not living. They took it as if it was something which belonged to them. It was the example of the former government president, Omar Bongo Ondimba. He was the president of the government from 1976 until 2079. He refused to leave the power as if governor belonged to him. And after his death, he gave the legacy to his son, Ali Bongo Ondimba. As if it was like if the government belonged to the Ondimba family. It was the example of Pierre Nkurunziza in Burundi. It was the example of Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe. It was the example of Paul Biya in Cameroon. It was the example of Idris Deby and the other Chadian president, Hissène Habré. There are so many examples here. It was the example of Yahya Jammeh. It was the example of Blaise Compaoré in Burkina Faso. Thank you.
Democracy has four steps to it. National unity, breaking down an authoritarian regime, full democracy, and free and fair elections, transparent elections. When the nation itself isn't unified, how can we say that democracy failed? It's not yet. Not happening. It hasn't happened yet. National unity is a key component to democracy. While we ourselves, in our own countries, they are very hostile to other tribes, other ethnicities. We do not even, let me give an example of Ramadan, that we all fast for a whole month. While in this country, or around the world itself, but namely in this country since it's in Africa, they cannot even fast on the same day. How can we ask for a democracy that will benefit everyone in the country? It can't happen. It's not able to happen because the unity of the people itself has not happened. Democracy is not based on free and fair elections. Let me give an example again of China. Xi Jinping, he changed the constitution to make himself the president's country until he dies, basically an emperor, like ancient times. But the country's still going well. If you ask anyone here in this country, in this room right here, it is going well. Free and fair elections, transparent elections do not ensure democracy. They say that votes for the people, votes by the people to elect presidents. Every single president on this continent was elected by the people. But for us, it's not for a president to come and rule us to make us happy. It's something that has been tribalized. It's made by every single tribe. Yes, my person is in the office. Now, everything that this village has that can have, we will have it, yes. It's not going to happen. Regimes are not fully transparent due to this tribalization of the people electing. I just posted on that phone.
Before summarizing, I would like to come in some later points because so as to show you that we have a democracy here in Africa. We're talking about democracy, which is really important. To say that we need democracy, it is for Westerners. We need a democracy. According to me, it means that to let those kind of people who are at the head of our state to do whatever they want, to get our money, to insult us, to take whatever we want, all kinds of our resources for them and for their families. Without democracy, we would like to say that we have to let them do whatever they want and decision. Let the power after their death to their sons. Okay? Let's move on. You would like that. We let them do whatever they want without telling anything. We have the right to say what we want, what we would like to do, what we would like to see, how they should behave. Because democracy, according to Abraham Lincoln, his experience allows him to say that democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And it's really simple. It is for the people. We have to choose our own governors. We have to choose our own leaders. They should be at the state, at the head of the state. Nepotism is a democracy. Kleptocratism, which means, the power of the stomach, is a democracy alone. We need elections. We need those kind of people. They have been elected by us, of course. How can we elect for some people who don't allow us the possibility to have some, CNN cards, national, cards. We have a national card and we would like to vote. How to vote? Democracy. They have to, democracy should allow people, those who are, who are in the ability to vote for them, those who they want. To limit, according to the CDAO, to limit themselves to mandatories only. But can we talk about alternance? Can we talk about democracy for those who have spent 81 years in the state of the government? Let's move on to summarize, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Today we show to you that it's not democracy alone. We haven't our right, we haven't the possibility to express what we feel. It isn't our democracy. No, it is a failing enterprise. It's not a failing enterprise, I'm sorry, but it's a failing enterprise. It's enterprise which has only bankrupted. If it wasn't the case, the Belgium wouldn't let the Zaire hands down, doing whatever they want with those who are in these states. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be open-minded. Let's see the situation. Let's be aware of the situation. But today, I'm really happy. Thank you.
I hear about elections, heads of states that are corrupt. But who are our heads of states? Are they ours? Or are they the lapdogs of the colonial masters from the beginning? I will let you connect the dots. These people who are eating all of our money, taking all of our resources, it was actually a guarantee given to them after our colonial masters had told us to go into a new direction, a new rhythm, so that we will continue to live in harmony with them. Or let me say, they continue to live in harmony using our resources. So, we're talking about elections. Let's say we do have elections. But with which kind of system? Where the elections are actually observed and are actually conducted by the past colonial masters. Can you still call it an election? Something that is made by the people, for the people? Even if we do hold an election, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, and we are satisfied with our results, they're going to have to say something about it, and we're going to have to actually conform with the conformity of how they want their concept to go. So how is it still democratic even if we do have elections? It is not, because it is something that has not even started. That's what we were trying to say from the beginning. Our leaders have been trained in the West. Well, not all of them, but most of them have been trained in the West to serve the West. So even if they do adhere to us, listen to us, where is that going to take us? It's not going to take us to democracy. What we're talking about here is the process of democratization, and that is what we are still in right now. We have achieve democracy. In the wise words of Dr. P.L.O. Lumumba from Kenya, he talked about how the West, the conceptual West, has presented to us democracy in their own meaning, in their own languages. How do you believe that something is supposed to even start or happen if we do not fully understand it in our own languages? He said that it's time for Africa to redefine what democracy is. And that is the only way we'll be able to start on a correct journey on the road to democracy. Which is why we are tired of trying to define our democracy, what is supposed to be our democracy, from Westerners. Or it can help, but from people who are not within the African concept, we must define our own. So instead of going on in circles, thinking about elections, our leaders, that is not the root of the problem. The root of the problem is for us to look within ourselves. We must achieve unity, as my brother said earlier. We must achieve unity. We must take down the authoritarian regimes that are happening. And in order to do that, it starts with us, not with the meaning of democracy. And it has not yet started, which is why we say it must start. Thank you very much.
So I will start by the quotation made by Nelson Mandela 40 years ago on the 7th of December 2007 down an interview he made to the British channel BBC. He said that democracy has failed in Africa because Africa is tired with leaders who claim the power against the wishes of the population. From that, I will say by my side that Africa is the cemetery of democracy. How can we talk about democracy in a continent where freedom of speech is not respected? People do not dare express themselves. People do not dare express their desires. How can we talk about democracy in a continent where there is no free and transparent elections? How can we talk about democracy in a country where there is nepotism? How can we talk about democracy where there is the persecution of opposition? The most valuable ones are jailed. The most weak ones will face the president and naturally he is going to win. And even if it's not the case, they will manipulate the results. Is that democracy, guys? Ladies and gents, let's open our eyes. Here in Africa, there is no country in which democracy is respected. It is just a theoretical thing. But in fact, it is not truly applied. All the countries, all the leaders, they have their own definition of democracy. If you go to Ghana, they will give you their own definition of democracy. And that definition, it is the wish, the will of their leader. If you go to South Africa or somewhere else, you will have another definition of democracy. But the real definition of democracy, the things without which we cannot talk about democracy, things without which there is no democracy, we do not find them there. What we find there is something else, but not democracy. Let me give you a fact. Its uranium is enough to power most of West Africa. Just the uranium that's in Niger. But what's happening over there in Niger? We are buying oil and electricity from Nigeria, while our uranium is going to France. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still under the shackles of our colonial masters. We have not been given freedom yet. This is colonialism 2.0, if you let me say, or neo-colonialism.
This is not something that can be achieved at all. As you said, modifying the Constitution by newly made presidents. It does not determine whether the country will be democratic or not. Our leaders they worked before colonialism. They were consulting the elders and the other members of their jury before colonialism came. Education does not depend on democracy. Democracy does not depend on education. 85% of Africa is uneducated. But what kind of education are we talking about? We're talking about Western education. We were doing fine before the colonialists came. We were doing fine before they came. But we look at them as superior to us. They have brainwashed us. We think that everything that they do is right. We think that everything that they do, we must do to achieve what they have. We do not need what they have. We have what we need. But instead of looking at what we have and what we need, we listen to other people and what they tell us to do. As you were bringing up the Westerner, Abraham Lincoln, what he said, rule for the people, by the people. How can that happen when our rulers are working for someone else? When you work for your boss at work, you don't just do what you want, you follow what he says. And that is exactly what we are doing. To receive the paycheck, that's what our rulers are doing. To receive their paycheck, that's what they're doing. They're not taking all what they have, all that we have. They're not taking all our resources. Yeah, yes, they are taking all our resources. But they're giving our leaders that are elected a fraction of what we have, a fraction. They're taking everything that they need and giving us the scrapes, and we take it with pleasure. That is wrong, very wrong. Thank you.
So I heard from our fellow debaters that there are no countries that are democratic in Africa. Let me dismantle that by saying yes, there is indeed. One is Botswana, and let us not define it by what others say it is, let's define it by what the people say it is. The people of Botswana, according to Afrobarometer statistics, more than 59, it has never actually gone lower than 59% of the people believing that they are under democracy, and that they agree with their rulers. And their government is actually a one-party system. So, what is democracy if that is actually working, to be honest? I would also like to talk about Mauritius, which is an island, I believe, in Africa. It is also a fully functioning democracy according to Democratic Index statistics. I would also like to talk about the separation of powers. That is something that we're getting confused with. The separation of powers and having a multi-party system is not something of democracy, to be honest. It is something that was given to us by the colonial masters. It is not something that we came up with. It is not even something that they should come up with, because as you can see, in England or in other places which are actually flawed democracies, not real democracy, they have different parties, however, they're still loyal to the crown. They're practicing the own way. Now I'm going to explain this to summarize. I will try to say that Africa has not failed, and democracy has not failed in Africa. And I'm going to say yet, because it has not been achieved yet. I would like to conclude this by saying we could either go back to our own systems, bring some modernity to actually achieve it, redefine our own selves, our own spirit, or to actually practice the democracy that is actually being practiced within the Western place. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Malaysi. The work, the debate was very high. People really appreciate what is driving our name.
great. It was full of arguments and contemporary thoughts also, and really enjoyed. And this is what we are waiting from you. You know, voicing out your opinions and partaking actively in the development of your country. And these kind of activities is something that really enable you to sharpen your public speaking ability, as I've already mentioned. And you know, while I was listening to you, or while you really did a paid work on all zones likely to abstract our understanding on the real democracy that we're talking about. And you know, democracy is a process, right? And I don't even want to give my opinion because I'm just a host, so I will give the floor to the members of the jury to talk about it, to avoid, yes, taking a position. But just know that democracy, achieving democracy is not really easy. So we are going to yes, give the floor to the jury president and the scientific and academic director, Dr. Alkanja. First of all, we are going to give them the floor to maybe talk about the evaluation criteria and give their impression about this English debate contest.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we are hearing you very well.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening again. Okay. Thank you so very much, Ms. Aminata, and thank you very much, CEO Mohammed Nias, for the nice words. And it's also a pleasure for me to work for the success of this great, event. Actually, I'm going just to give you the evaluation criteria, and then let each member of the jury give you some feedback on a specific point of the debate. All right? My colleagues are going to have something like 2 to 3 minutes for feedback. With the topic entitled, "Is Democracy in Africa a Failed Enterprise?" Maliksi High School had to defend the yes position, and Ikra Bilingual Academy had to defend the no position. So the rule of the game are the following. There are 7 interventions, including the introduction and the conclusion. In terms of timing, the introduction takes 5 minutes and the conclusion takes 5 minutes. But the ordinary interventions take each 3 minutes. In terms of evaluation criteria, what is expected from the debaters is first, the understanding of the topic. If you understand of the topic, you master the topic. And second, if you understand it very well, the debate will focus on the relevance of your ideas. You should argue with relevant ideas, with good examples, with a lot of research and references, because you need to argue to prove and to bring references and correct references. And then remember, this is a debate, so the art of oratory, public speaking skills should be proven here. So you should show your artistic value as a debater. The rhetoric is to convince. And then remember, the other thing is a context in a foreign language is English. So you have to speak academic and formal English. So the language also is a criterion. You have to speak good English. We should, look at, grammar point, accuracy, vocabulary, pronunciation, and everything. And also there are some penalties. When should they occur? In case of lack of respect, when a debater is rude to his or her opponent or contender. So if you are very aggressive, but this has not happened, okay, you had to be evaluated on this, and then each intervention is graded over 20. So there are 7 interventions. So we calculate the total. Each jury member is going to grade each intervention over 20 and calculate the total point for that team, and they divide it by 7 interventions to get the general average, the individual general average. So each jury member has a single general average of achieved. We collect again all these different, individual averages, and then multiply it by 4. Okay, now the total and divided by 4, and we have the general average of achieved. And then we identify the best debater. The best debater is the one who has been very provocative, who has pushed the debate forward, who had engaged his or her colleagues in the debate. So without any delay, I'm going to give the members of the jury the floor, namely Mr. Amin Sal, to talk about language issue. As the interventions are based on the different points of the evaluation criteria. Language was a criteria. So Mr. Amin Sal is going to point out some, flaws about the language. So Mr. Amin, you got the floor.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ja. So thank you, managers, production, and organizers. Congratulations to both teams. The debate was very interesting. I would just focus. I would focus my feedback on I think 5 points very quickly. The first one, and this is a recurrent thing. This is something recurrent. Was we hear people saying, according to me. Well, most of the time when we use according to, this is a reporting phrase. We say according to someone else, because we don't report what we say, we ourselves. So if you want to express your opinion, your own opinion, you just say, in my point of view, or in my opinion. And now, according to Dr. Ja, according to Mr. Silla, so according to someone else. Another recurrent mistake was the use of preposition after the use of preposition. Like, for example, I heard one of the debaters saying, African leaders are hungry of power. It's not of, it's for. You say they have a thirst for power. They are hungry for power, and so on. So then they have a passion for power. Okay. So next, is also I heard one of the debaters say we should not mix up these two concepts together. So there is a repetition. If you say to mix up, the together is already inside. So we should only just say we should not mix up these two concepts and then not add together with it. Sometimes also some of the debaters use double negations, like they say they haven't nothing to eat. So generally when you say they haven't anything. They haven't anything to eat, or they have nothing to eat, something like that. And last but not least, I would end with some pronunciation mistakes, like the word America. It came very often in the debate, and most of the time we tend to pronounce the first A like ah, whereas it's just America. Something like according to me, America, and so on. And also in terms of the word democracy, so then we see that the stress is in the second syllable. That is the more, democracy, more. So and last but not least is the word parliament. So parliament. So, but all in all, it was really a very good discussion, and congrats once again. Thank you.
I'm going to give the floor to the colleague Silla, who will also focus his feedback on one evaluation criteria, which is rhetoric, the public speaking skills, the art. Okay, Mr. Silla, you got the floor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ja. So, hello everyone again. Maybe I want to first of all take the occasion to congratulate again, managers production for this well-organized competition again. And again, I want to congratulate the two teams, Maliki High School and Ikra Bilingual School. I think this was a final that we deserved, actually, regarding the performance of both the teams. It was really a very interesting match. And uh, maybe I want to start with Malaysia High School. I think that they have had great progress. Like they made a lot of progress compared to the last matches. And this is to show that there was a lot of work that have been done by the team, and I really congratulate them. I really like the other aspect I like also with the fact that you're crossing between the topics. Like I heard somebody talked about freedom of speech, others talked about culture, which was some topics which were debated in the last matches, which is very interesting because the goal of the competition is not just to let you debate and it's over. What's interesting is the knowledge to keep from the debate and the abilities to analyze any topic. And I feel like that you guys have all those skills are now very rooted in you, and that's really a pride for me especially, and for the members of the jury. Now coming now deeply to communication skills, I mean, like as we said, like in aspects of body language, of voice, of speech tone, and so on and so forth. I want to start maybe with the speech tone. I think for some of you, it was really wonderful. I could see that sometimes you feel like disappointment in your speeches, sometimes anger, sometimes a sort of revolutionary speech. And speech tone is very interesting in terms of communication because nobody wants to listen to somebody who's very monotone, speaking just at the same level every time. Sometimes you want to change your tone depending actually on what you're saying. And I really want you maybe to insist on one point, which is sometimes you need to insist on some words to give them a sense of power when you speak. Democracy, insist on the democracy so that people know that you really care about democracy, and that gives like a very interesting actually musicality, let's say, to your speech. And other aspect is that, yeah, there were some figures of his speech that I really liked. So some people spoke, use like, let's say, anaphora, for instance, like the fact of repeating actually, sorry, one sentence or one word at the very start of every sentence, let's say. Let's say they were. And this is really interesting because let's say it's very interesting because the public pay attention to what you say. Maybe one last point is that for some debaters there was a lot of hesitations, let's say, like speaking and saying so this maybe is the point that I want you maybe to work on. Like when you speak, you need to speak with confidence, and if you need a pause, you can take a pause for some seconds and then start over your speech, but do not ever fill it with some gap words like or repetitive, and so on and so forth. So this is globally what I wanted to say. I'm really sorry for taking so long time. So I really congratulate both of the teams for the outstanding performance, for the wonderful performance, and I was really happy like listening and enjoying this debate. Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you, Mr. Silam. So the last point is about the content. But as you know, this is going to be very sensitive. The content talking too much about the content is tantamount to giving directly the deliberation. So we're going to dodge it. So I'm going to circumvent it and use another strategy. So as the scientific director of this contest and also as the president of the jury, I really would like to express my sense of satisfaction on behalf of my colleagues and also to congratulate you guys. As a colleague said previously, there is no winner. There is no loser, sorry. There is no loser. There are only winners this evening. So thank you so very much. The debate is interesting. The quality of the debate is really satisfactory. And we are really happy that you made it. Now, just pointing some still communication and debating. Sometimes imagine the way you put your argument should be very clear. Clarity matters. A debater said, how can people understand what does democracy mean? Yes, there is a problem here. Don't, use this kind of combination. You should normally put it in the direct way. You should say, how can people understand what democracy means? Or how can people understand the meaning of democracy? You can use it this way, or you put it in another way saying, how can people understand this question? And then people know that you are introducing another question. But you cannot combine them like that. And another debater said something like, I was supposed to. There is a problem. I think you are supposed. If you say I was supposed to, it seems that you are not doing the same thing. You are doing something different while you are doing the right thing. So find a different expression. Sometimes it's pronunciation of proper nouns. You use references from Abraham Lincoln's text, but you did not get, reference. It's the Emancipation Proclamation. You didn't put the context in the context of the American Civil War and why Lincoln theorized it, talking about, government of the people, by the people and for the people, in which context as a pioneer of democracy. But it's okay. It's okay. Doing research is important, but when you bring your research, argue and put your references very clearly. And the other thing is, sometimes you don't use the correct name. Somebody talked about CEDEAO. I think you should be able to know that CEDEAO is ECOWAS in English. And be very careful with your argument. A debater said somebody remained in power for 81 years, which is very confusing. I'm sure it's not what you wanted to say, but be very careful. Giving numbers in talk like this, you need to be very sure. It's impossible because 81 years in terms of, a presidential regime, I'm not sure that's what you mean. Okay, that's what I wanted to say, but it's still, it does not impact. So you have all done well. But as it is a final, we have to identify a winner. And on the basis of these evaluation criteria, we have gone through the work, and the jury, with fair collaboration of my colleagues, has come up with the following result. It was a tight match, as you can see. I can communicate the winner has 15.06, and the other team has, I don't want to call you the loser, 14.94, which is very tight. I start with the general score to tell you that it was a tight match. To tell you that the winner has 15.06 against 14.94, so which is very tight. Let us first announce the best debater of the match, who has to be congratulated. It is Miss Aisha Jakari from Ikra Bilingual Academy. And the winner of the match is Maliksi High School. Maliksi High School is the winner with 15.46. Congratulations, both teams. Congratulations, Maliksi High School. I would like to take some seconds to thank all the organizations, the team, the assistants and everything, the sponsors, the collaborators, and the jury members. Thank you for this great trust in my personality. I appreciate. Thank you so very much. You got it.
Okay, so congratulations to Malik C High School, and congratulations also to Ikra Bilingual Academy, because they deserve it, because they participate, they dare participate and express themselves. And as I'm used to say, there is no loser, there is no winner. We are all like winners as lovers of English, and that is true. So congratulations to both teams, you really did great.
C'est là-bas que j'aime aller, son cœur ne connaît pas de frontières. Chez elle on peut danser, pieds nus en regardant vers la mer. Il y a en elle 10 000 couleurs, le soleil et la terre s'invitent chez elle, c'est le bonheur. Chez Mama Africa. Chez Mama Africa. C'est là-bas que j'aime aller. Maman dit toujours la vérité. Son rire fait fuir les sombres nuages. Dieu, à ce qu'il paraît, aurait fait l'homme à son image. Chez Mama Africa. Chez Mama Africa. Chez Mama Africa. Chez Mama Africa.
L'Afrique, terre d'opportunités.
Moi, je suis ravie de voir de belles initiatives comme ça qui accompagnent et incitent la jeunesse africaine à bouger, parce qu'effectivement, aujourd'hui, rien ne se fera si on ne bouge pas nous-mêmes. Aujourd'hui, je pense qu'on est capable de faire de belles...
On a compris que la richesse aujourd'hui, elle se trouve en Afrique.
L'Afrique reste le continent de demain, reste un continent où il y a un développement économique quand même à 2 chiffres.
C'est mon destin. Et j'espère que tout Africain qui se trouve ici pense la même chose de son pays.
C'est très important lorsqu'on parle de développement. On ne peut pas aujourd'hui concevoir le développement de l'Afrique sans une unité des Africains.
Qui dit aucun de nous, en agissant seul, ne peut atteindre le succès. Donc agissons ensemble. Nous avons un fort potentiel que nous pouvons apporter à la jeunesse africaine, au développement de l'Afrique en général.
On est tous en secret. C'est presque une évidence. La jeunesse est une valeur.